all corporate documents subject to be found in the appropriate policy. Employer is compliant with tax events to pay the standard of income taxes found available.
Last year, what we need to do where the former executive sent in what they generated and spent during that convention. And I have that here, but I'm not going to go into that. I just wanted the House to know that I received that, and then I will move on to my report. For our income and expenses generated between August 6, 2020 to August 6, 2021. We started with a balance of $18,983.60. During the period, we have generated some monies, $47,200, and expenses, like the board chairman reported earlier, on January 1st, 2021, we gave startup money to the current ESCO, $1,500. On sometime in February, can't recall the exact date, but February we had reimbursed Mrs. Gloria Widow $2,100 for the attorney retainer's fee that she paid. On April 2nd, we paid out to Atlanta chapter $6,700. That was 10% proceed from 2017 convention. I'm glad we did that. And on May 11th, 2021, attorney's fees for the case Houston chapter versus AKISAN, for that lawsuit we paid $12,500. On the 7th of June, we gave $20,000 seed money to ESCO for planning of convention. On August 2nd, we also gave the National ESCO additional $15,000 as a loan, which they will refund by Monday morning. And then on August 3rd, we spent $855.72 for making the plaques, which will be presented for Igbo Pride Award tonight. And we also paid Eagle Tax Services $350 for filing our tax for us in 2020. Reimbursement for first council meeting of 2019, $475 was paid to Mrs. Itawan James on April or August 4th. As of today, we have a balance of $6,703.88. In our Domiciliary account in Nigeria, we have $465.35. Initially, that account we started with $19,900 and something dollars. I brought back $12,000 last year, and then sometime in January, there was a meeting, and it was generally agreed by the House that I should exchange $5,000 for Naira, taking advantage of the exchange rate right now. So we did that. And then sometime in May, we had to bring back some monies from Nigeria for the lawsuit, which was what I reported here earlier. So we took $2,500 from that account. That's why we have $465.35 remaining in that account as of today. Now, we started the current account in Nigeria Wema Bank. We started that account with 10 million Naira. And then after I did exchange 2,350,000 Naira and put in that account, it went up to 12 million Naira plus. But sometime in May, because we didn't have money and we needed to pay the attorney fees, so I had to exchange the AKISAN borrowed money from two individuals, and we had to refund that money in Naira. So it was 4,800,000 Naira. So that's why as of today, we have 7,993,724 Naira 68 cover. For our Fidelity account, we have 188,830 Naira, $830.39. Now we have outstanding $7,200 because of the issue and concern that we have with the Bank of America. I couldn't transfer the money to Fidelity account because Fidelity account I have to either pay in cash or with a check. And since I was kicked out by the former national president, so I'm still in the process of being reinstated. That's why we still have that 7,200 still waiting in that account. So if I were to add that $7,200 to $188,830, that account I should be reporting $196,030.39. Now we have a restricted account, youth restricted account. In that account we have $9,978.50. I also want to report that in the board control account, we have another restricted fund that is $2,200. A finance committee came together and contributed that money for us to implement the QuickBooks. So we have that in that account. That is it for now from me to you. Thank you. So ETF account, the report will be given by Dr. Mbong Ekiko.
So, all right, just an update on the ETF account. It should be pretty quick. In the AKISAN ETF or Emergency Trust Fund account, we still have a balance of $15,312.35. It's been the same amount. There's been no activity in the ETF. What we're doing right now is waiting for the implementation of the QuickBooks you heard Madam Treasurer talk about. and the implementation of Salesforce for membership tracking. We need to get those infrastructure in place. Then we'll come back to the House to really revitalize the ETF program. The ETF committee did meet and made some recommendations. One of them will be to keep the membership yearly fees at $10 per member when we revitalize the program. Then we also met to recommend that we increase the payout to $1,000 and $500 respectively, and also to make the program optional for members. Today it's mandatory. But all those will happen as soon as we get those infrastructure in place to accurately track memberships and participation. So as for right now, like I said, the balance is $15,212.35. Thank you. Back over to you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Engineer Kiko. Before we go into the EXCO portion, are there any questions either for the ETF or the board? Okay. Madam Founder, raise your hand first. Yeah.
My question is on I saw that we have a tax, Eagle Tax Service. So I want to know exactly what it was that they did, because the Form 1, are we good standing with that in Washington, D.C.? Are we in good standing with our tax? Because as I think I spoke with Richard Usanga, he was saying that it wasn't filed. So I'm trying to make sure that we are up to date on that. Yes. For 2021.
No. It ends December of the year, so.
Yeah, 2020.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been filed, yeah. Yes, we did have a liability of about $7,000 earlier,
Yes.
but that has been cleared as well.
Okay, yes. Thank you.
But we're yet to pay him for that. I think we're only $500 for that, but we're clear on that. So we don't have any obligations to the IRS at the moment.
Okay, I think he's not aware of that. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Dr. Kaite Roberts, Miami chapter.
On the previous. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, I thought my voice is bigger. Anyway, I just wanted to know so that we all are on the same page. You said you did not want to talk about it. Is there any particular reason? The report you said you received from the previous.
Why I said that was anyway how I even got to get the report, because we needed to file our taxes. And so I usually will get their report combined with mine and then BOT and ESCO, and then send it to the taxman. So that was how I was privy to that report or information. But other than that, I just saw here that they realized $11,184.63, and they spent, I think they spent $10,000 out of that, $10,042, and then they gave us $500. That's it. Thank you. So that was why I didn't want to get into that.
Okay.
No particular reason.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions before we move on to the EXCO financial report? Do we need to move a motion to accept the reports as presented? Or we move on to the next section? Okay, so can someone move, please? Right. Okay, so Mr. Saranwa of Jacksonville chapter has moved. Dr. Kaite Roberts of Miami chapter has seconded. Any objections? For the BOT? Yes. Specifically the BOT financial report.
Point of information.
Yes, recognize.
Yeah, just we do have members online viewing as well, so please utilize the microphone to speak so they can hear as well. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Madam Treasurer, EXCO financial report.
Thank you. So before I begin, I want to make sure that everyone has a copy of the financial statement, and if you don't, I still have extra copies. Oh. It is one page, so page one is the P&L, and the second page, which is a flip, is your statement of financial position. Not that one.
Oh, Madam Treasurer, but 1 second. We do have 4 seats up front for the former national presidents. So if you are here, we thank you for your service, and please come up to the front to my right. Thank you. Welcome, Dr. Esienomo. Madam Treasurer.
Okay. Do we all have the right information? Okay. So from page one, this is a consolidated profit and loss, a detailed consolidated profit and loss from September 1st. From September 1st to July 31st. And I chose July 31st because August, which is this month of convention, is still fluid, and I needed a proper cutoff. So from R1, we had a new administration startup, 1,500. Through July, our chapter dues realized was 1,600, and members dues to national was 480. For convention-related revenue, we had chapter convention fees at 500, registration, which it's from Stripe, 14,336. Booklets and book rental came in at 17,549 for a total convention-related revenue at 52,385. Oh, I'm sorry, with seed money from BOT, $20,000. For miscellaneous funding, we have BOT funding for legal, as discussed by Madam BOT Treasurer. We received $12,500. At the beginning of the administration, we had a miscellaneous deposit of $146. We had a CD fund transfer overage of $31. We had restricted donations, and pardon my misspelling on there, for ICT camp, $6,094. We had a restricted donation for beauty camp, $687. We had a restricted donation of legal, $297. A restricted donation for medical admission, $800. And restricted donation for welfare at $297. For a total miscellaneous revenue of $20,852. And what you will notice on here is this is not the face value of each donation. These are net amounts, meaning we are showing what Stripe has given us after fees. So for the whole consolidated revenue, we realized $817. For expenses,
We have telephone and Zoom, which paid $154. Computer terminal, which is the square terminal that we're using for registration, well, that was $477. For printing and supplies, these are various convention things and supplies that we're getting from Staples, $72. We have a post office address, which we're paying $106 for. And we had various bank fees, which include some of the wires that we've done to pay some of the fees, like the wire transfer to Nigeria for the camps and a wire transfer for the legal fund. All of those bank fees came to $185. So for National Secretariat miscellaneous expenses, we have $994. For convention-related expenses, we have promotional expenses and supplies. These are things like the flag expenses and other supplies related to the convention as well. This was $13,860. Details, we had promotional expense, $3,340. Program booklet expenses came in at $9,520. For photography, we deposited $1,000, so that adds up to that 13 that I had just mentioned. For service providers, I mentioned we have AKISAN.org website. We paid $693 towards that. Legal fees, we paid $12,500. So total service providers or vendors that we've sent money to somebody else, it's $13,193. For the projects and meaning the restricted funds that we have collected money from on R9 through R16, we actually funded those projects. And these is on E16, we had the ICT camp funded at $5,300. And we had the beauty camp funded at $1,120. I do have on here prior administration expenses at $3,542. And again, remember that I'm showing this from September 1st through July 31st. So they had expenses before they handed over the bank account to us. So our total expenses came in at $38,008. And our net income revenue minus expenses is $38,809. Any questions on this page? Okay, please flip over to the second page, next page. So the next page is just more like your balance sheet, which we really don't have much. It's cash at $42,401. We do have some liabilities in that we have a national secretary that traveled for the meeting. It's not represented on here because we don't have the expenses categorized or collected yet. But just to let you all know that we do have liabilities, it's not just presented here because we don't have those itemized. So our bank balance at the end of July was $42,401. Of that amount, without donor restriction, was $40,645. With donor restriction, which is those amounts that are listed in the revenue section, we have $1,756. So our total liabilities and net assets is at $42,401. And on the other side, it's just a breakdown of from the detail page, this page just categorizes and summarizes your contribution. So we had a total contribution that is without donor restriction at $75,062. With donor restriction, meaning the balance, because we collected $8,176, we spent $6,420, so we're left with $1,756. So our total revenue and other support came in at $76,818. For expenses, our programming services came in at $23,822. Our supportive services, which was a legal fee, came in at $12,500. And managing and general, which were all those other supplies, the post office and all those other expenses, those were categorized as $1,687. And our total expenses, $38,809. And again, I said our prior administration had expenses. That's the one that shows up at the beginning of the year, net assets. So end of the year, meaning end of this July, we had $42,401, and all of this ties to the bank balance at the end of July. Any questions?
Madam Treasurer. Mr. Nodo, chapter president of New York, is not here, but he's on here virtually, and he did raise his hand. So,
Okay.
Engineer Kiffer, please unmute him so you can speak.
Charges are not. I think that fees, those charges should be given chapter. Right. If you charge, what do you actually I'm stripe charges. Expenses out of
That's fine. I can change that. That is actually correct. It can be changed.
For everybody that may not have heard the question, there's a strike fee. And the whole chapter president from New York is asking if that should be part of expenses.
And I'm saying it should be part of expenses. I listed it as net. So typically when we're looking at non-for-profit financial statements, it's typically done on a cash basis. So if I have to list it as a modified accrual accounting or whatever, I will show the face value, which would have been $300 and fees of $2.97.
Well, Mr. Hewitt.
Yeah, in the interest of full disclosure, there are a couple of liabilities that we have incurred that I'm not saying, and that had to do with the loan to pursue the legal defense, the current legal defense that we have about with the Houston chapter. I think since they were disclosed earlier by Mr. President in at least a couple of the meetings that we had, they should also be listed here.
That is not a national loan, from my understanding. So BOT transferred $12,500 to the national account. So I think we owe whatever. The loan is on the BOT side, not technically on our side. So what we owe the BOT is at $12,500 legal fees. Is that all of it that you're talking about?
No. Specifically, this had to do when we started to defend ourselves against Houston. Mr. President loaned the association $2,500, and I also loaned the association $1,500. They are not reflected on this document.
I can answer that. Sorry. So, if you may recall, I was asked to create a separate account for that. So that went into that account, not our EXCO account. So that's why it's not reflected in here.
Yes, but it's a liability of association, not the separate account. So it should, how are you going to reflect that particular transaction?
So I'm trying to understand the transaction. You loan the money. Which bank did the money get into? Because I should be able to see this in the bank. And this financial statement is a representation of what happened in the bank. So we loaned the money. There should be a transfer into the account. And all I saw was the $12,500 from the BOT. Am I missing something?
Mr. Boche.
I was going to say the money he's talking about is the defense fund that you set up
for the retainer.
For the retainer, exactly. So I mean, you should have reconciled that with this with her as a loan, because it's definitely not reflected in that account since it was a different account that was created for specifically for that. So there has to be some, reconciliation. Yes.
Yes.
Because it's a separate account, but it's still a liability. It's still like said, it's a liability.
Okay. So that will be done. Yeah.
So we need that. I need that bank account. Whatever account that money went into, I need access and I need to understand what it is. And then we can marry it up in here, because this is just a reflection of the National Bank of America account.
Okay, I'll get with you on that. Any other questions?
Yeah, Mr. President, a similar question. From who? Similar, kind of related.
Oh, okay.
The finance committee donated $2,200 to be used to, prototype this QuickBooks. It was reflected on the BOT account. So when it starts being spent, hopefully it shows up on the expense side of the association as well.
It will. So on that, as soon as
Accept the report as presented. Thank you, Dr. Howard. Second. Well, my eyes were all the way there. Who is that? Oh, Dr. Peter in Atlanta chapter. So, sorry, Martha. Yeah. Any objections? If not, the motion carries. All right, the motion carries. Thank you. Now we move to perhaps the most important part of this meeting, item number 11, Constitution Review Committee report / reading and ratification of amendments. Please be advised that once these amendments are presented and voted upon, they will become a part of our Constitution to take effect 1 year from today. So, Mr. Hewitt, are you ready? Or were you born ready?
For this particular purpose, yes, I am ready.
Very good.
Very ready. Akwai mai song. Akwai mai song. Even know you. Thank you so much. I appreciate your welcome. Mr. President and all the members of your cabinet, I am quite grateful that we are at this particular moment. Mr. BOT Chair, Bobby Anofia, I appreciate your leadership also with as you've led us through this time, difficult times, and working collaboratively, not just with the president, but also with a number of the committees. I want to recognize all the chapter presidents here today. A lot of the groundwork that are getting it is done by the chapter presidents. And so they are the ones that actually give up and win. So I want to recognize all the members that are here today, all the well wishers of AKISAN. Today is your day. This is AKISAN Day. They say that growth without change is not possible. And today you get to make some changes that allow AKISAN to grow. Let me recognize each member of the Constitution community because I may not have the opportunity to do this again. We have made several presentations over the past few months, and I've indicated that it's a very diverse group, a very strong group, but I don't think I have gone through each of the members. But Mr. President, please permit me to recognize them today. Our Vice Chair, Dr. Patrick, please be recognized. Our Secretary, who is online, Dr. Kevin Ita. Are you there, Doctor? Let's recognize Dr. Kevin Ita. He's been instrumental in a lot of things that we do. This young man sitting right on my right-hand side, Njiniambo Akiko. I call him. I say that when I go to war in dark tunnels, I take him with me. Madam Diana of your LA Community Chapter, please be recognized. We have a gentleman from the board, previous board member, the previous board chair. I call him the walking encyclopedia of AKISAN. And that is the former chair, Adam Andy. I don't think he's here today. Oh, okay. Where is he? Okay, he's a working himself completely out of AKISAN. We have the young man from Nashville, Tennessee, Mr. Anyeka Netam. Where's Nashville? Okay, okay. We have another former board member, Mr. Ison Ekbenyon. AKISAN is blessed to have Ison Ekbenyon. I can tell you the guys involved. Oh, there he is right there, Ison Ekbenyon. He is completely invaluable to this organization. We have another fine, well, I should say young lady, but she's just younger than me. Dr. Ekaite Roberts of Miami, Java. That's what I'm saying. No problem. We'll get there. And we also have an outside counsel that's part of our group, Mike Essien, Tony Mike Essien. I don't is here, but and of course, at last is legal counsel. Last but not least, a legal counsel, Lily Essien. So those are the members. She was not able to join us for very good reasons. But those are the 11 members that make up the Constitution Committee. Now, what I want to do right now is I'm going to go through quickly and tell you all the recommendations that we are going to be tendering to be voted on and adopted. I will go through all 12, and then I will come back one at a time and tender them to the president for adoption, for motion, for adoption and voting. The first one will be the change of the venue. They're allowed to change a venue when there is a pandemic or significant adverse national events. The next one will be the restructure to allow 3 governing bodies within AKISAN under the convention. The next one will be number 3, clarifying standing versus ad hoc committees, which we clarified in the Constitution. The next one will be creating electoral committee that will be responsible for conducting and certifying elections. Number 5 would be implementing a new process to elect a national president. Number 6 will be creating the office of the National Financial Secretary and work hand in hand with the Treasurer to ensure that we follow proper chain of custody in handling of finances. Then number 7 will direct the use of AKISAN Finance Manual in how we handle our finances. Number 8 is really an improvement where we provide some glossary of terms at the beginning of the Constitution. It's a preface to define some key terms within the Constitution. Number 9 is a new recommendation where we're recommending that we add 2 more years, allow for 2 more years for a president to run for office. So right now we can only allow the president to run only 1 term of 2 years. The new recommendation will be they can run for 2 terms, 2 years each. So the maximum term they can serve is 4 years. Number 10, I believe that was number 10. I think I skipped something. Number 9 was granting that the previous, what I just said was number 10. Number 9 is granting the national president the authority to draw 2 members of his or her cabinet from other chapters. Number 11 is really just administrative work. We're going to remove the executive from the national vice title because it would no longer be necessary. Chapter president would no longer be called national vice president. And then, of course, the 4th one is strictly just saying, with the new structure, we are going to also require that first level governing body, which will be the chapter president, require that we have at least a 2/3 majority before we can change the Constitution. So it will be 2/3 at the lower level body, and then it will be 2/3 at the council, that's the joint national council, and then it will also be 2/3 at the convention, like what we're doing today. Okay, so let's start, Mr. President. I am ready. The first recommendation that the Constitution Committee is bringing forth for motion to adopt is adding a provision to allow for non-face-to-face meeting for meetings or elections during a pandemic or situations that prevents us from having a face-to-face meeting. This is detailed in Article 11, Section 1, that has to do with location. At this point, I would like to tender this particular recommendation for motion to adopt.
Thank you, sir. So can someone make a motion to that effect with respect to this particular amendment that has been read? Dr. Ekwan?
Of amendment of the Constitution for the meeting to be accepted as legal, be accepted and adopted. So I move that motion for that to be adopted accordingly.
Thank you. Any second? Ms. Usaran was second. Any objections? In the interest of time, I'll not say all those in favor. So if you object, raise your hand at this time. If someone has their hand raised? All right. So the motion carries. This now becomes an amendment. Number 2.
Okay. Number 2, the next recommendation that the Constitution Committee is bringing forth for voting and adoption is restructuring to have 3 governing branches, where we will have the National Executive, the Council of Chapter Presidents, and the Board of Trustees, all existing under the Convention. They will work collaboratively for the benefit of AKISAN. Those 3 bodies will fund the new Joint National Council. The new Joint National Council will be permanent. It will not be half for a joint or half a year joint. It will be permanently joint going forward. At this point, I would like to go intend this for a motion to vote and adopt, Mr. President.
Thank you. Can someone move a motion to this effect, please?
Engineer Keiko AKISAN San Diego, I move so forth the adoption of the structural changes to AKISAN to the way of governing. I stand corrected.
Okay, so no members of that committee can moving or seconding. Conflict of interest. So, anyone else?
None of your brothers. Yeah, I care about one from just prepare my own chapter. I do move a motion for the restructuring of the council to the 3 governing bodies, which is going to be comprised of, at every point in time, there will be Joint National Council.
Thank you. Any seconder? Mr. Chiba, Washington, D.C. A question or your seconding?
I will second the motion.
Thank you. Any objections? Please raise your hands. None? Then the motion carries. Number 2, adopted.
Thank you. Number 3, the number 3 recommendation that the Constitution Committee is bringing forth for voting and adoption is we are clarifying the difference between standing and ad hoc committees. And we're creating 2 new standing committees. One will be policies, constitution, and it will be budget/finance. These are detailed in Article 13, Bylaws 5, Section 1, subsection A/A, A1/A2, and B1/B2. And these details are also provided in the excerpt, as well as the complete form that was provided to all the chapter presidents. So at this point, Mr. President, I would like to go intend this for motion and a vote for adoption.
Thank you. Can someone move a motion to this effect? Who is that, please? Oh, Atlanta chapter. Any seconder? Who is that, please? I can't see with the mask. Oh, Mrs. Helena Basute, Atlanta chapter. Yeah. Any objections? No objections. Motion carries. Number 3, adopted.
Okay. Number 4. Let's move on so we won't waste too much time on this process. Number 4 is The recommendation that the Constitution Committee is bringing forward is to create a standing electoral committee responsible for conducting and certifying elections.
Someone move or make a motion to this effect. Mr. President, could the chair of
Consists of 6 members. 5 of those will be voting members. 5 of those members, 1 will come from the board, 1 will come from the national executive, 2 will come from the chapter president, and 1 will be the legal counsel who will not be who will not be a voting member. Within the 5, they will deliberate and bring in 1 person from the outside, so that we will have 5 voting members and 1 non-voting legal counsel. This committee will be responsible for conducting elections. So that means they will be in charge of certifying elections and running the elections, and they will be a permanent standing committee for the association.
Thank you. You alluded that we need to have board member. What if that board member has a personal interest to run for that office or any office? How would you set that question?
Okay, thank you very much. I guess it's a good question. We've actually thought of that and have also addressed it. So any member within the electoral committee that wishes to run for any of the national office is automatically disqualified, and they will be replaced by someone similar. So if that person was a chapter president, they will be replaced by another chapter president. So if they were a board member, they will be replaced by another board member that had no interest in running for the national office.
Question, please. Is Constitution Review Chair. Well, is the member of that committee qualified to vote during the election?
Okay, so which election are you? Can you clarify which? Give me an election and I'll.
For example, the national president election. Because most of the chapter presidents normally, or in a lot of cases, they represent their chapters during the voting process. They do vote. So if the members of the electoral committee, would they qualify to vote or
for the national president? Is that
yes,
what?
Yes.
Okay. So to answer your question, let me sort of clarify. Actually, we're actually on number 5 is what you're taking me to. So let me go ahead and give you a little bit of preview. So the new recommendation from the committee is that the chapters will actually decide who our national president will be. So when you're a member, let's say you're a member of Philly chapter, within the Philly chapter, you will conduct who you want to select to be a national president. You in Philly are going to have the ability to vote based on how Philly rules and guides and bylaws are. So there you can participate. Once that decision is made at Philly chapter, let's say you're going to vote for A, that information is communicated to the electoral committee. And so the electoral committee, when they sum up all the different chapters, this one voted for A, this one voted for B, their goal is to certify the results that the chapters decided on.
I think 3-4 people have their hands up. Beginning with Mr.
Christopher Ikudum, is that you? Okay.
Mr. President, please.
Wait,
follow-up question, please.
Okay, follow-up. Go ahead.
Okay, Mr. President. Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. From your explanation now, that means the electoral committee will know the national president before the election day. That will preempt the result of, that will preempt the election result of whatever. That means before we assemble like this, if I'm so close to this time when my friend and a member of the committee, I see that new national president will be Mr. A. And in that one, be my close friend to another person. So before we know it, before we assemble by that time, everybody will know the result of the election. We have to look at it again if we are doing election. Thank you.
Okay, you're actually on a different number. So let's go and deal with number 4. You're on number 5. Why don't we get to that number 5 and deal with that? Is that okay? The electoral committee will be given the duties and powers to conduct elections. So that's basically the Constitution Committee is waiting for the ability to create the standing committee and give them the powers and duties to conduct the election. Now, it's not just the national presidential election. They will have the ability to conduct all the key national elections. That means the auditors, legal counsel, board of trustees. They will have that power. Plus, when it comes to the national president, which is actually number 5, they will have the ability to certify those votes. So, but at this time, I think what we really should do is go ahead and make that decision that we want to create this committee. The reason this committee is very important is because it will bring a degree of independence, not really bring independence to the electoral process. And so this is one of those areas that we actually had a tremendous amount of discussion and debate on that we feel will really be a tremendous improvement to how we run our affairs here at AKISAN. And we've actually made it such that the way those committees are formed, the chapter president deliberates and 2 people. The national executive deliberates and 1 person. The board deliberates and 1 person. Legal counsel is therefore advised. Within the 5, they deliberate and find someone outside with experience and the vested interest of actually bringing an outside voice is better than what we have now. So I think it's something that should be.
But, Mr. Christopher Ikudum, there are 3 people on the floor.
Mr. President,
yes,
I agree for the committee, but elections of the national president and board members are very important to this organization. And most of us come here to do that one function, to vote for our leaders. So if you sign this duty to electoral commission, I think that's too much. That's too much for 5 people to handle. Rather, I would prefer that committee verify the contestants and recommend to the House. Then the House will vote as we normally vote. The committee shouldn't do the election.
Correction. The committee does not do any elections. The committee does not do any elections. The chapters will do the elections. The chapters do the election based on however they elect. Yes, the electoral committee does not do elections. They basically facilitate on how that is going to be done. So
that's correct. Thank you.
Actually, we have provided. Let me add to this. There's absolutely nothing surprising at all on what we're proposing today. We have had 2 road shows. We have had 2 council meetings.